everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Crystal and this is
Dimitri.
He's my husband, and you're watching Fashion, Beauty, and Wine. So in today's episode of Wine Down Wednesdays, I thought that I would bring my husband into the mix to do something a little bit special for you all. We were at a restaurant the other day and he had mentioned how he thought my wine expertise was right on. Like, he was like, everything that you describe this wine to be is everything that I taste in the wine. How do you do that? So at that moment I realized that he didn't know a lot about wine, and how would I approach one of my subscribers if they wanted to know something about wine? I invited him on the channel so he can ask me questions as a beginner in the wine world, just so that I could get a good understanding of maybe where I can start off at, where I could help you more, and maybe where I could understand from your point of view and give you some answers to some questions that maybe you have in your mind. First of all, let's start off by letting them know what we're drinking. What are we drinking today?
Sangria?
Okay, baby, before we get started, there are some people out there that don't know who you are or anything about you except the fact that I just introduced you as my husband and you said your name was Dimitri. So do you want to give my subscribers a little bit of background on who you are?
My name is Dimitri. I'm from Greece. I'm 5 years in the United States. I'm a web developer and I have nothing to do with wines. As he said the other day, we were in the restaurant and he said, oh, I feel this and this and this and this. I was drinking the same wine, of course. And I was like, damn, the description was exactly what I was feeling in my mouth. So I was like, how can you know, to describe the wines so perfectly? And she got the idea to video.
So he has not showed me any of the questions. I'm going to hear them for the first time just like you.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So how somebody starts to learn wines? What's the best way to learn about wines? How you started?
The best way to start learning about wines is to read about wine, to actually taste the wines, to talk with someone that's a little bit more knowledgeable than you are, and ask them as many questions as you can. And don't be afraid to ask what you feel like are stupid questions. If you honestly don't know something about wine, then ask. And if that person knows about it, then they'll let you know, and they won't look at you like you're crazy or you're stupid or anything. The best way that I was able to just learn about different wines was to try a bunch of wines side by side and, you know, just read about them. The wineries usually have a little bit of descriptions on the back of the wines, and so you can always start from there. If you need more, you can always go onto that producer's website and they can give you a little bit more background. But the number one thing to learning about wine is just tasting tons and tons of wines.
Okay, so I consider yourself as an expert, of course, compared with me, but I also know that there are those people sommelier. What's the difference between an expert and a sommelier?
Sommelier is an expert. They're a certified expert. I'm not a somm because I'm not certified. I know about wines. I don't know as much as a somm would know about wines. There are different levels of somms. There's a level 1, level 2, level 3, then level 4. Level 4, of course, you're a master. In order to become an expert or a somm, and an expert is a somm. So in order to become a somm, you have to take tests and you have to get certified. So you have to take a test that will certify you. So that's how you become a certified expert in wine. So I'm not necessarily an expert, maybe in your eyes, because I know a lot more than you do, but technically I'm not an expert, and an expert is a somm.
I see. I asked because I heard about experts and sommelier, so I didn't know what's the difference.
Yeah, somm is an expert because they've actually
certified one.
Yeah, they've actually studied and taken a test to become certified. So yes,
we both know that some of the wines, they're giving you headache. I think it's the white ones. So which ones do they give me headache usually?
Ooh, mostly the whites, but I get them from the reds as well.
Okay, so why you have headaches and I don't?
There are over 300 different additives and preservatives that they put into wine that I could potentially be allergic to that maybe you're not allergic to. Everyone reacts differently to different things that are put inside of their body. You could be allergic to mushrooms, whereas I can eat mushrooms. The same goes for wine. There can be something that's causing a reaction with me that I may be allergic to that you're not allergic to. So it all depends on how your body reacts to the wine and what exactly is it that your body is not rocking with, I guess. It's your body's way of letting you know, hey, this is not good. I don't like it. I can't stand it. Yeah.
Okay.
Stop drinking.
Okay. I thought it's happening with specific ones, so it's not specific ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so sulfites?
Sulfites,
Sulfites, okay, what is it?
Sulfites are preservatives that they put into the wine so that the wine can last longer. Most wines have natural sulfites, but then the producer will add extra sulfites just to preserve whatever other ingredients that are added into the wine so the wine won't go bad. So sulfites are a preservative.
Okay, so for how long it can last one wine, bottle of wine once you open it?
Generally, people, depending on what style of wine it is, a bottle of wine can last anywhere from 3 days to 1 week. Generally, some people don't like to drink their wine more than 3 days old, and some wines will, go bad after a couple of days. But for the most part, a bottle of wine can last for a week. Anything longer than that, it's like now vinegar.
I see. So if I open a red wine, which people, I think 95% of the people, they like it in temperature room. In order to preserve it, I can put it in the cooler?
Yes. But red wine, you don't really have to store it in the cooler.
So it can last
longer
than a white wine?
No. White wines are typically drank colder than red wine. So red wines, if you open it up and you pour it out, you don't have to put it in the refrigerator to save it. You just leave it out as a regular red wine. And whenever you're ready to drink it, if it's within that period of 7 days, then you can drink it. You don't have to put it in the refrigerator. It's going to last the same amount of time whether it's in the refrigerator or not. Refrigerator comes into play with wines based on your preference, if you like it cold or not. Putting a bottle of wine, because I get what you're saying, because it's like when you open up ketchup, you have to put it in the refrigerator in order to keep it for longer. So wine doesn't work like that. Red wine, once you drink it and you want to recork it and you want to save it, you still leave it out. Okay. Having it in the refrigerator is not necessarily a way to save the wine. It's more of a preference of how you prefer your wine. So even for white wines, even if you open up a bottle of white wine and you kept it out for 4 days, it's still going to last the same amount of time that you have in the refrigerator, only for the simple fact that it's going to go bad within its allotted amount of time.
I see.
The only thing that will affect a wine, if you leave it out, is the sun. So if you leave the wine out in the sun, it's going to do things to the wine and create chemical reactions that's going to alter the taste of the wine. So that's why you see a lot of wineries, a lot of vineyards, they store their wines down in the basement, in caves, and they leave them in wooden vats which don't have any sunlight, because that's the way a wine will grow and mature.
And what is tannins?
Tannins. So tannins are basically the residuals that you get from the skin of a grape. Tannins can only be found mostly in red wine. Maybe you get them in some rosés if the rosé is pretty dark, but for the most part, you only get tannins in red wine. Tannins basically give your your mouth a dry, chalky flavor. So it's basically, it's literally the residuals from the skin of the grape.
What about those people that they saying, oh, there's crystals inside or something like this?
Okay, so yeah, crystals, they're not glass. A lot of people say, oh my God, there's glass in my wine, or there's crystals. They're not glass, they're not crystals. All they are sugars. They're sugars that have stuck together to crystallize and create like a crystal-like texture, a crystal-like look. So it's just sugar. That's all it is.
So, same bottle of wine, same year. One has crystals, the other one it doesn't. What is the factor that it makes it create crystals?
Okay, so when you are making a white wine, you need yeast, sugar. Sugar eats the yeast and creates alcohol. If there's an equal balance of yeast to sugar, and the yeast is able to eat all of the sugar, there's no more sugar left because it's all alcohol. If you stop the wine during the fermentation process and it hasn't eaten all those sugars, what's going to happen is those sugars stay behind, they crystallize, and they're left in the bottle of wine.
So is it bad, one bottle that has crystals, or?
Not at all, not at all. And it's not bad for a wine to have tannins left over at the bottom. Sometimes you have to decant a red wine just so you can get all of those tannins and the dirt and the gook out. So you decant it so you won't have those sediments in your wine. So having those sugars left over is not a bad thing at all. It's just leftover sugars. It's what's left over.
I see. And last question.
Okay.
Why you age red wine but not the white ones?
Oh, you age all different types of wines. You age whites, rosés, sparkling, reds. All wines are aged depending, on what the producer wants to do or what he's trying to accomplish.
Makes sense. That's it, baby.
No more questions for me?
Oh,
I was loving this.
Maybe in a second episode.
So you just inviting yourself back on my channel is what you said.
Since you're not.
Oh, I invited you this time. So since he doesn't have any more questions, we're gonna wrap this thing up. If you all have any questions, if there were any questions that you developed during the video and maybe you want to ask me, please post the questions down below and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to press that thumbs up. And if you are watching and you're not subscribed, take a moment to press the subscribe button. And while you're at it, press the alert bell so that you can be alerted every time I post a new video. Now, I am on social media. I'll leave all of my socials at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I wish you all nothing but
fashion, beauty,
peace, love, fashion, beauty, and wine. Bye-bye. We did that in one take, babe. That doesn't happen a lot with me.
Baby, I'm sorry. I remember you say 5 words at the end, but it's
peace. Okay, so when you say peace, love, and happiness.
Oh, okay.
So you're saying peace, love, and then you add my channel to it.